You wake up one morning and the thought is already there. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet question waiting for you like a shadow at the foot of your bed. What's the point? It doesn't come with tears or panic. It comes with clarity. A cold, flat awareness that settles in your chest like a stone. You reach for your phone, you scroll. You see people laughing, grinding, winning, performing their lives for an invisible audience. And instead of envy, you feel something worse: detachment. The exhausting sense that all of it is theater, that none of it really matters. This isn't a bad day, it isn't weakness, and it isn't a failure of motivation or brain chemistry. This is the modern condition. We live in an age with more information than any generation before us, and less direction, more connection, less meaning, more freedom, less purpose. And whether you realize it or not, the moment this question appears in your mind, you're already standing inside a philosophical war between nihilism and stoicism. You didn't choose the battlefield. You were drafted the moment the old stories stopped working. Here is the uncomfortable truth both sides share. The universe is indifferent. Your suffering doesn't echo through the stars. Your success doesn't tilt reality in your favor. When you fail, nothing mourns. When you win, nothing applauds. This isn't pessimism, it's honesty. The stars are not watching you, they are burning gas millions of miles away. Philosophers call this tension the absurd, the gap between the human hunger for meaning and the silent neutrality of the world. And this is the fork in the road, because the question is no longer, does meaning exist? The question is, what kind of person will you become once you accept that the universe doesn't provide it for you? By the end of this video, you'll understand why one of these paths quietly drains life from millions of people, and why the other has kept human beings psychologically intact through empires, plagues, wars, and collapse. Let's talk about nihilism, honestly. At its core, nihilism isn't stupidity or moral failure. It's intelligence pushed to exhaustion. It's what happens when you see through every illusion, status, money, ideology, even inherited meaning, and realize none of them survive close inspection. You look at a luxury car and see a metal box on wheels. You look at a career and see a chain of emails leading to a grave. You look at ambition and see distraction dressed up as virtue. Nihilism whispers, if nothing has inherent meaning, why suffer? Why strive? Why pretend? For the burned out, the betrayed, the disillusioned, this feels like relief. No more chasing, no more proving, no more lying to yourself about a rigged game. For a moment, nihilism feels like freedom, and modern culture reinforces it. Endless scrolling, irony as armor, detachment mistaken for wisdom. Then comes its most seductive form, optimistic nihilism. If nothing matters, it says, you're free to create your own meaning. On paper, it sounds mature, liberating, even beautiful. But here's the moment where clarity turns into decay. Freedom without structure doesn't empower you, it dissolves you. Meaning without discipline collapses into noise. Values without hierarchy drift. Attention fractures. You don't become the author of your life. You become a consumer of stimulation. You don't rebel against the system. You become its perfect product, numb, predictable, quietly exhausted. And this is the point most people mistake for enlightenment, when it's actually the beginning of disappearance. Now look at the other answer to the same indifferent universe. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, Epictetus, the slave, Seneca, the advisor. Different lives, same conclusion. They agreed with the diagnosis. The universe doesn't care about your comfort, but they refused the collapse that followed. Their response was radical in its simplicity. The universe may not care, but I do. Instead of searching for meaning outside themselves, they built it internally, around one unassailable core. Prohairesis, the power of choice. You are not sovereign over events. You are not sovereign over outcomes, but you are sovereign over your judgments, your actions, your character. Fate can take your health, people can take your status, circumstances can take your comfort, but they cannot take your response unless you surrender it. This is where Stoicism stops being philosophy and becomes psychology. Carl Jung would later describe something similar as individuation, the moment you stop blaming the world and start integrating responsibility for who you are and who you could become. The Stoic does not deny suffering, they metabolize it. Imagine two people losing the same thing, a job they built their identity around. The nihilist says, of course, nothing lasts. This proves nothing matters. They retreat into irony, numbness, or quiet resentment. The Stoic says, good, this is raw material. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because pain, when owned, becomes fuel. Nietzsche called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not passive acceptance, active engagement. Not why me, but try me. This is the real divide. Nihilism fixates on the emptiness outside. Stoicism fortifies order within. One obsesses over what you cannot control. The other disciplines what you can. That single shift, from external chaos to internal sovereignty, changes everything. The modern world is engineered to produce nihilists, algorithms that train helplessness, outrage designed to drain attention, a culture that profits from telling you that you are insignificant and replaceable. And some of that is true, but the Stoics understood something timeless. Even in a broken system, you don't have to be broken. Even in a meaningless universe, you can become meaning. This isn't toxic positivity, it's responsibility. You are not responsible for the hand you're dealt, but you are responsible for how you play it. That's the Stoic bargain. No illusions, no guarantees, only agency. The nihilist says, nothing matters, so I don't have to act. The Stoic says, nothing is given, so everything I do matters. One leads to collapse, the other to becoming. Maybe you're stuck between these two worlds, too aware to be naive, too tired to be hopeful. You've deconstructed everything, but you haven't built anything yet. That's where most people stop. That's the desert between philosophies. You don't have to believe the universe cares. You don't have to pretend there's a cosmic plan, but you do have to choose. Will you become the architect of your inner world, or let the void design it for you? Will you train your attention or sell it? Will you build character or drift? Stoicism isn't a cure for the darkness. It's the discipline that keeps you moving, while others disappear into it. And sometimes, in the darkest hours of a human life, that movement is exactly what saves you. If you feel like you're standing in that desert, this next video is where you start building. Epictetus didn't promise happiness, he taught sovereignty. Stay strong, stay sovereign,